Oh, look at that. It looks like I have been muted for the past 5 minutes. I see. This is the challenge of going live sometimes. So I tell you what, I'm going to start from the beginning. We are going to think this is 5 minutes ago, and we're going to start all over. This way I can. Hi, Jeannie. Thank you for mentioning that. I didn't realize that I had myself on mute. So it was not your fault, Jeannie. It was mine. So I appreciate that. So I'm going to welcome everybody again. Hi there. I'm Denise Stegall. I am the CEO and curator at livinghealthylist.com and Living Healthy List Academy. And I'm your host for the Get What You Want workshop. And the goal of our workshop is to basically help you get what it is that you really want in your life, not what you don't want, because the more you start focusing on what you don't want, the more you actually attract that into your life. And so that kind of like attracts like. If you're a law of attraction person, you understand this. So if you're constantly saying, well, I don't want this and I don't want that, that's actually what you're attracting to yourself. So let's not do that. Let's think about what it is that we really want. And then once you know what those things are, you can actually start to take those small steps moving forward. And then as you get more confident, as things you start to see a little bit more positive, you can start to take bigger steps and really get to that point where you feel like you really can get those things that you want. So quick recap, that was Monday. Monday, we talked about how you can get those things, how you can figure out what it is that you want in your life, those desires that you've always wanted, those things you've always thought that, I really would love to have that in my life. And so the action guide on day one talks about that and gives you tips how to do that. Yesterday, then, we talked about one of the biggest obstacles in attaining our goals, what those things that we really want. And that is our inner critic. The inner critic is that voice in your head that sometimes just is constantly kind of yammering in your ear. And she's not, or he is not really bad. What she's trying to do is she's trying to protect you. Essentially, your inner critic is you. She's been with you before. And if there's a situation that you've been in an experience before and it didn't turn out positively, your inner critic is saying to you, nope, hold on, don't do that again. Even though it could be something very different, she just wants to make sure that you're not going to get hurt. The problem with listening to that inner critic is that it can keep you stuck in the same place and not striving for those things that you really want. Hi, Gail. Thank you for joining. Let's see. So what else? So what do we want to talk about today? What do we want to talk about today? Today, we're going to talk about another huge obstacle. So today's Wednesday. So we want to decide what we want. We talked yesterday about one obstacle. We're going to talk about an obstacle today. And then tomorrow we're going to start working on what that plan is. Okay. So today, this obstacle is self-sabotage. Now, can it go with inner critic? Is it the same thing? No, it isn't. It isn't. You know what I mean? Self-sabotage is essentially when we actively or passively, sometimes we don't recognize when we're doing these things, to take steps to do that prevent us from reaching our goals, from getting those things that we want. And it's a really frustrating cycle. And sometimes we don't even know that we're doing it. We're not completely aware that we're doing it. But it has such a negative effect on our lives that it really lowers our self-confidence. And that's really the piece that's keeping us from actually achieving our goals and getting what we want. And it really leaves us feeling stuck in the muck, as I say very often. And there are lots of reasons why we may self-sabotage. A lot of it does stem from that lack of belief in ourselves, that inner critic who's telling you one thing, even though your heart desires something else. Sometimes we don't think we're deserving. We don't think we're smart enough. We don't think we can do it. And so there really can be a challenge. But I think truly you have the power. You are deserving. If you can, I think this is Walt Disney who said it, if you can dream it, you can achieve it. And it's true. If you have something in your mind, if there is a goal, a vision that you have in your mind, you can create it. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow. It may take months or years. But if it's something that you really want, you can create it. And I'm here to tell you today that, this self-sabotaging behavior, it's not completely your fault. It's actually your brain's fault. We're going to blame it on your brain. But let me take a step back. So before we can actually self-sabotage, and I'm just going to make sure, let's see if we have anybody else popped on, any other questions. Before you can self-sabotage, you actually need to make a decision to do something, right? So let's say you make a decision, you want to lose weight and you want to eat healthier. You want to eat real food. Hello, it's me. I always talk about eat real food. Maybe you want to exercise more. Maybe you want to go back to school or start a new job, start a business. Essentially, you want to make a change. And change is tough. It's not that it's really hard, but it's really uncomfortable. Wouldn't you say change is uncomfortable? And let's be real, we don't like to be uncomfortable. I know I don't. But it's also a little scary. So it's not really hard. It's not really tough. It's uncomfortable and it can be scary because we don't know what the outcome is going to be. If you want to go back to, say you want to go back to college, I went to college at 18, could I go back to college now? And, just the thought of it kind of gives me the willies. But if it's something that I really wanted to do, I would have to overcome that. And again, because it's uncomfortable. I would be probably the oldest person in the class. Maybe not, but I probably would. So it's that not knowing what's going to happen that can really be that self-sabotaging behavior, because it's scary. And, a lot of times things come up into our mind like, I don't have time. And you have like a million excuses. Again, if it's something that you really want, all of these excuses are just that. They're just excuses. This is your self-sabotaging behavior. Let's see. I can't do this because, again, if it's something you want, why can't you do it? Your self-sabotaging behavior is coming right back at you. And then the other thing is we all think that, we don't have enough willpower. I'm going to tell you, none of us have willpower. No, let me change that. None of us, except for my husband, Mark, has willpower. I don't know what it is about him, but he can set his mind at something. And he does not suffer from self-sabotaging behavior. If he sets his mind for something, a goal, especially if it's a weight loss goal, he is on board. He doesn't self-sabotage. He doesn't second guess himself. So is that willpower? Probably not. Now that I'm thinking about it, it probably is just more confidence in himself and being uncomfortable. He's probably a lot more comfortable being uncomfortable than many of us. So let's talk about what, we're resistant to change, right? Even when it's in our best interest. We want to avoid pain. Let's be real. Nobody likes pain. Exercise can be painful. I mean, not painful, but it's uncomfortable. It's tough. Lifting weights, you're going to be sore. Oh my God. It's just easier to sit and watch Netflix, right? But we like to seek pleasure. So we want to stay away from pain. Pain is no fun. Hunger pangs is no fun. And I say hunger pangs right now because I haven't had lunch. But also our brains really we're seeking pleasure. We're pleasure seekers. That's really what we are as humans. We are pleasure seekers. So, seek pleasure like eating a donut instead of having a salad. Yeah, the donut sounds a lot better than the salad. But is it good for you? And not that the donut, you shouldn't have a donut ever again. I mean, God forbid, I'm never going to spend the rest of my life not eating an Entenmann's chocolate covered donut. Yes, those are one of my favorites. But should I have that for lunch? Probably not. Should it be something I think about, having at some point in my day? Sure. But is it for lunch? Probably not. So how does your brain get involved with this self-sabotaging behavior? And I apologize, I'm going to get a little bit academic here. Your brain has, look at your brain. There's a lot of pieces to your brain. But we call one of the things, or some of the schools of thought, are your high brain and your low brain. And your high brain, your cerebrum and your cerebrum, which initiates coordination, movement, regulates temperature. Okay, those things we all need. But it also helps us to speak. It's responsible for judgment, for thinking, and for reasoning, for rational thought and planning, which is really important, um, because that's the piece of part of the brain that is helping you to decide what it is that you want and make a plan for it. So say you're, again, I always go back to weight loss, and I apologize for those of you who don't want to lose weight, but it is one of those things, as women, we're always struggling. Um, it just is, it's just one of those things. We're never happy with our body, which is another thing we should at some point just accept that and accept what we need to do, and not always be so stressed out about it. But so say where you want to lose weight or you want to eat better. That cerebrum, that part of your brain, really, is the part of your brain who helps you to say, okay, this is why what I want to do. This is why I want to do it. This is the plan. And so when you write that plan of action, that's the part of your brain that's kind of working. And then, of course, there's that other part of your brain. This is the limbic system. So another part of your brain that deals with emotions and memory. So the other thing is so what does it do? It responds to emotional stimuli. So you want that donut. You really want that donut. And your brain is going, oh, you should just have that donut. You just have that donut. It'll make you feel so much better to have the donut. And so you eat the donut. But it also reinforces behavior, good behavior or bad behavior. So that reinforced behavior, if you're the person who eats a donut every day, just because you go to work and there's a donut in the coffee room all the time, so you just have a donut. At 2:00 in the afternoon, you go and you get a cup of coffee and you get a donut. It becomes a behavioral pattern, and so that's part of your brain, the limbic system. It's kind of that happy pleasure center. And let's be real, most of us want to feel pleasant. We want to feel good. And so that's kind of like those two pieces of the brain, the high brain, the low brain, the one part of your brain that's saying, yes, I should eat better and I should exercise, and this is how I'm going to do it. And the other part of your brain that's going, yeah, right. I don't want to go for a 6-mile walk. I don't know where that came from. I'm going to sit here and watch Netflix, or I want to have that donut. Yeah, I'm going to have donut for lunch instead of the salad. So you see what I mean? So it's your brain. It's your brain. It's not your fault. It's your brain's fault. So anyway, you can control your brain. It is your brain, right? And how do we do that? You do that by challenging your thoughts and changing your thoughts. Obviously not the positive ones that will help you move forward on this plan, but those ones that really kind of keep you stuck in the muck, those self-sabotaging, that inner critic, and those self-sabotaging thoughts that lead to self-sabotaging behaviors. Those are the ones you really want to get rid of. Mindset absolutely matters when it comes to changing your thought, challenging and changing your thoughts. Sorry. Those positive affirmations that we talked about yesterday, these are going to come in handy here, because you talked about that. We talked about that yesterday with that inner critic and those things that we're saying to ourselves. What are those negative things? What is the positive that we can start changing those thoughts to? And like I said, keep them, keep it on a Post-it note. This is my positive affirmation from a couple of weeks ago. And that just sits right here on my computer. So how do we do this? It's easy for me to say, just change your thoughts. I've done some training with Dr. Wayne Scott Anderson, and he uses a system called Stop, Challenge, and Choose. And if you guys listen to my Wonder Series event last week, Wednesday, May the 12th, I do these Wonder Series events every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. I spoke with Elizabeth Sherman, who's a health coach, and what she discusses is her three-step thing is stop, feel, and act. And of course, there's stop, shake, rattle, and roll, and stop, drop, and roll, but those are obviously different things. Scratch that. Anyway, I like a bit of a hybrid of what Dr. Anderson talks about and what Elizabeth talked about last week. And so my thought process on this, and I've been using the Stop, Challenge, Choose concept for a few years, but when I heard Elizabeth speaking last week, and when I talked to her last week, I really like the idea of putting that feeling piece. And truly, the word challenge, like you're challenging that thought, that challenging that thought. But really, it's how are we feeling when we're about to make this self-sabotaging decision. So I'm just going to quickly read my notes over here, or the notes here. Let's see. Jeannie just said, I'm going to use that one. It was my brain that made me do it. Uh-oh, I'm in trouble now. Anyway, so getting back to stop, feel, and choose. I really like this because number one, before you're about to do something, just stop. Don't do it. Don't go crazy and just, oh, I'm just going to do this. Because we tend to kind of do things a little bit hastily. So I want you to stop before you make that or do that self-sabotaging behavior. Or if you're having a self-sabotaging thought or your inner critic is jammering in your ear, just stop and think. What's coming up for you? What are you saying? What are you saying to yourself? What is that crazy inner critic lady saying? Why are you about to self-sabotage? Why are you going to do this behavior? And so by stopping before you do it and actually thinking about it, you've kind of broken the cycle. Okay. Because sometimes, this self-sabotaging behavior, these are just things that we've been doing for so long and you're trying to make a change. And like I said, sometimes change can be uncomfortable. And sometimes it's just we get so used to doing something the same way over and over that we have to actually stop and kind of break the cycle. And so then what the question is how does it make you feel? How are you feeling right this minute? Are you hungry? Is that why you're going for the donut? Or are you going for the donut because it's 2:00 in the afternoon and that's what you do? Address how you feel. Again, it could be, are you hungry? Are you angry? Are you sad? How are you feeling at that moment before you do that self-sabotaging behavior? And then choose something different. Well, no, choose something. Make a decision right then and there. I'm hoping that you would make the positive choice and do something different. Go for the walk instead of watching Netflix. Have the salad instead of the donut. But if you decide not to do that and you decide to continue the self-sabotaging behavior, here's the thing that's different. You've chosen to do it. You just didn't do it automatically. It's something that is now on top of your mind. So it's okay. Now, I don't want you to do that time and again, but it's okay every now and then if you make that choice. When you make change doesn't happen overnight. And as much as everybody wants everything to be perfect and easy, it is not. And so sometimes the self-sabotaging behavior, it takes a little bit of time to, to kind of break those habits, break those behaviors. Excuse me. So I guess the question at that point is, be aware of what you're saying to yourself or those at that time. So when you're about to have those self-sabotaging moments, with your stop, think, and stop, feel, and choose, what's going on in your head? What is your inner critic saying? What are you saying to yourself? And truly, all of this inner critic, this self-sabotaging thoughts, it's all noise. Kind of like, like there's so much stuff on the internet, right? That is really hard to decipher what's truth and what's fiction. The same thing with your self-sabotaging thoughts and this inner critic of yours is it's just noise, and it's continual. So it's kind of like, back in the day when, TV program ended and there would be snow on the TV and you'd hear the shh. It's kind of like that. It's just noise. So instead of listening to the noise, this is what I want you to do. I want you to talk to yourself. Yes, I do. I do it myself all the time. Preferably out loud. Yes, if somebody else is around, they're going to probably think you're a little crazy because I know my husband catches me talking to myself all the time. And he's like, there's somebody there that I can't see. But what I find is it's helpful for me. If I can literally hear it I can hear it. I mean, you can hear your inner critic because it's your thoughts. But when you hear it out loud, sometimes you go, oh, geez, well, that sounds stupid. And I've been known to say stupid stuff to myself hopefully not to others, mostly to myself. But it really is really powerful when you start talking to yourself. And this is where, again, these positive affirmations come in. Try to make sure you're saying good stuff to yourself, positive stuff to yourself. You don't want to say to yourself, oh, that's stupid, or you shouldn't do that. Positive. You want to be positive. So the next time you're about to engage in this self-sabotaging behavior, I want you to do what? What do I want you to do? 3 words. Ready? Stop, feel, and choose. Love to hear your thoughts, questions, comments. Those of you who are here live, definitely pop something if in the comments if you have. If not, if you're looking at watching the replay, post that in Facebook, and I will answer your questions. Also, there will be a action guide for today, day 3 action guide. I'll put those in the comments. It's not quite ready, and I apologize. It's just about ready to upload. So I will get that up ASAP. So again, stop, feel, and choose. Thank you everyone for being with me today on day 3 of the Get What You Want workshop. I'm Denise Stegall, and until tomorrow, I'll see you here tomorrow at 1:30 Central Standard Time. I will leave you with this: healthy living, happy life. Have a great day, everyone.